The following is a recording of Mindshifters Radio. More information about this can be found at www.whyagain.org. On this recording, you will hear Dr. Michael Rice and Jeannie Rice, hosts of the Mindshifters Radio Show, 5 days a week from noon to 1 Central Time. You will also hear testimonial from Michael Coughlin in Florida, who's been introduced to this work about 5 years ago. And there are segments of recording from April 8th, 2015 and October 15th, 2015. Please enjoy.
I have Michael Coughlin.
Hello, Michael Coughlin.
Hi, guys.
How do you be, sir? What's exciting down there in Boca Raton?
It's good. It's two things I wanted to call. One, I wanted to make a shameless plug. My support group is actually starting today. I got it all the lines, all ready to go. It'll be 7 to 9 every Wednesday at the Center for Spiritual Living, Boca Raton. That's right off Palmetto, right after 95.
Awesome. Hooray.
So we got that going. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. So if anybody wants to come up, I made some calls, and we'll see how that goes. And the other thing that I thought was pretty cool was I was at the VA today, and I was had to get some injections done into my knees. And I was talking to the doc, and I don't know how, but it went to Margaret was doing something yesterday while I was in class, and then I was teaching the class. So he started asking questions about it, and so I started talking to him, the whole transferal of emotions, denied disassociation, projection. These guys ate it up like I was giving out Scooby snacks. I was shocked. I mean, one is a young guy who just literally got orders to go. He just joined the Army as a doctor, just got finished his teaching. They were discussing a paper that somebody put out that guys with post-traumatic stress are showing not only mental anguish, but some of them are showing physical anguish. And the doctor's point paper was the fact that they're showing it is because it is all emotions, that they have basically the idea of the physical manifestations of degenerated energy caused by non-being emotions. So I was talking to him about what was going on, and I was honest about some of the things that I had gone through during my dark times, and the booze, and locking myself up in the high security psych ward. I mean, all those fun times, and they were shocked. So I think they want me to stop bringing it to the vets, and I think I have my in. They're both going to write papers to their respective departments. They're going to contact my psych doctor and get his recommendation, and they either want me to start the program at the VA center that's down in Lantana, or possibly do a class there at the VA center itself, or they want me to come down to Miami and give a spiel to this doctor who wrote the paper. So I have no idea where that's going. I just thought you would kind of like that.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Crazy good. Yeah.
Hey, 2 calls in one day. We got Terry going out to the 12-step world, which I know you do a lot of too, so you guys might want to communicate a little bit. And then what you're doing with...
I used the 12-step. I just did a 4th or 5th step with a guy, and I was able to get him to understand the ramifications of regrets and past emotions that are not exposed. So I can't say that this is something else. I can use everything that you teach when I'm doing the 12 steps. And I actually told him that I was doing a class on forgiveness, that if he wanted to attend, he could have attended, but it wouldn't be an AA thing. So he says he might attend. Who knows? Maybe he'll put the word out and other people attend. So that's quite exciting. There's a lot of fires going on, and they want me to speak at the prison too. That a friend, our mutual friend at the prison wants me to come in and speak because I'll tell you later on, we had another mutual friend that didn't do too well and got removed from speaking in there. So they're trying to get me in there to keep your work going down there.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's expanding and all over the place.
Well, were you listening to the conversation with Terry?
I was, yeah. I would love to get a copy of his 10-step sheet because I personally use the sheet as my 10-step every day.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
well,
perfect
I'll
for a
make
10
sure
step.
that you guys have got each other's phone numbers and they can communicate. And it's just fabulous to watch what's developing. That's awesome. But when I talked to Terry, I had invited him to just share a little bit about where he's been so that anybody who's listening has a sense of what's possible, what really, truly, with real people can be done. So
Right.
maybe you just share a little bit about, your history, maybe even your journey to Heartland this past summer and just what just took place, which, for me, just opens a space for people to go, wow, is that really possible?
It's true. My youth was pretty rough. My father abandoned my mother and I when she was 17, pregnant with me and had me. I spent the first few months in incubators with my mother and father. Didn't get that, hands-on time. There was a lot of abuse with my mother to the point where she tried to kill me when I was 5 or 6. I ended up in the foster care for a period of time. Then got back with her. Abuse all the way until the time I left. I joined the military at 17. Abuse as in thrown out windows, put outside in a blizzard, punched. I mean, just not spankings. I mean, I got serious abuse and mental and anguish and whatever else you want. Made to eat spoiled food, bunch of horrible stuff. And so then I joined the military at 17, and I was very good at that. By that time, I had discovered my first drug of choice, which was anger. And then anger became my armor. It became my comfort. It became my security blanket. It became what I thought I was. I did 26 years. I got out in 07. At 07, everything fell apart for me. I finally had enough of my former spouse. There was a lot of infidelity and cheating and abuse, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was afraid that somebody was going to get hurt. I was afraid I was going to kill somebody. So I finally decided to leave, and I thought my children would come with me, but they stayed with their mom, and I started spiraling out of control a bit. I committed suicide. I tried to commit suicide in 07. I hung myself, woke up on the floor with urine in my pants, and then spent the next 48 hours trying to hide the rope burns while I was still active duty. I retired, and I chased my childhood sweetheart to Florida, and I was still messed up. I was crawling into a bottle to the point of drinking 3 fifths a day. I was about to lose everything. I mean, I hated everything. I hated myself. I hated breasts. I hated God. I hated mankind. I hated everything. So I went to the 12 steps to start to get sober. I started to do the Eastern philosophy thing for a while. I met this guy, this Chinese medicine doctor, taught me some meditation and some Qigong and some other things. So that was the beginning of it. And through that, I saw this guy with sandals and some hippie shirt and a beard and gray hair come walking up with some tea meeting that we had. And I said, hey, how you doing? He was like, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. And I'm like, who is this pompous ass? And that pompous ass turned out
Now,
to
who
be
would you be talking about and saying those kinds of words?
That would turn out to be you. And so my girlfriend at the time, I don't know, maybe my fiance at the time, dragged me to see you at some meeting down in Fort Lauderdale. And I tried to run out of it, and I got angry and shouting, and I would have left, but my car was blocked in the driveway, and Margaret wouldn't leave. So I stayed, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm away. And then you came walking out, and like, who is this guy coming out to me? Are you out of your mind? I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'6", and some people say intimidating. And So I started the work. I started it, and I went 1 year with my wife for, I don't know, a month or so. I think it was a little over a month. And that was great. It really helped our relationship. And I continued to work. I taught it for a few years before. This last year, matter of fact, a year ago this year, I had a tumor that was growing, a nerve tumor that was growing through my back. And I had done some pretty offensive, I guess is the best word you could say, medical practices to try to help it. And that didn't work. And so I basically was on 60 milligrams of methadone for the pain. And it was that's just the way it was going to be. I couldn't walk. I was in a walker. I was basically having seizures and screaming in pain. So Michael and Margaret convinced me to, oh, by the way, Michael's work allowed us to work through things to a point where the girl that I came down here to chase finally agreed to marry me, and we got married. It was a year ago, December. So I healed enough of some of that stuff for her to marry me. This summer I went down there with Michael, and I thought I was going down there for a month, but I started making progress that even more than I could see. So Michael and my wife got together, and I ended up staying there the whole time. There was a bunch of nights I was on the phone begging to come home, but I stayed. And at one point in time, we did this breath session, and man, I went someplace that even to this day I can't tell you anything about it because there is not words in my vocabulary to even fit where I was. And I came out of there, and I was connected to something that was so much bigger than me. I was connected to the whole. It was the first time in my existence that I believed that I was part of the whole. I was literally the manifestation of the source, and I was acting and feeling that manifestation and that true source, the true being, the love, the peace, the blessedness as my being. And I was speechless pretty much for at least 48 hours, maybe longer. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 days. And shortly after that, I started to walk. I started to swim across the lake. And before you knew it, I was running up the hill. And I got home. I started working out, lifting, doing other stuff for the first time in I don't know, 10 years maybe. Recently, it's starting to grow back. You know, I'm starting to have some of the problems again. So I'm going back to Heartland this summer, and I'm fully expect. This isn't a hope. This isn't well, maybe, gee golly, then maybe this will work. I fully expect to go there and completely heal this inside of me. You know, people might think, oh my God, this guy's a tree hugger and new world, new age, crystal believing, and I am not. I mean, I argue with Michael. I've tested him. I paced in the back like a wounded airman. But this thing worked. I have no explanation, but I know for me, on 2 separate occasions, doing this work healed me physically, healed my soul, healed my heart, connected me to a place where I didn't look out in the mirror and want to break it. I didn't look out in the world and want to hate it. I want to embrace the world now. I see that the divine pattern in front of me every single day. You know, the smooth stones of David, they're there in front of me. I see them now. My intuition is just incredibly off the chart of doing the right thing. And for doctors in the VA who once were ready to call a code green because I was so angry I was scaring them, to want me to talk to other veterans and work with a guy who's writing a PowerPoint paper, it's just an amazing transformation of Michael. And the big thing, if you're wondering if Michael is, because if you're wondering if this stuff is real, let's say somebody gave you this worksheet, or you heard it from somebody, you're listening for the first time. I didn't believe in anything until you showed me. I tested Michael at every single turn over many, many years. What kept me coming was one simple fact.
Here it
is that you did what you say. I've watched you breathe. I've watched you do worksheets. I've watched you continue changing and growing and improving your vitality. And in myself, I've watched it change me from a non-human being that wanted to end his life to a person that wanted to embrace in every single moment, that looks outside the window and sees joy and happiness, that, you know, can face any struggle and keep that human being, that true divinity, that source of love that is my true state, and understand that in all my walks of life. And it's just such an amazing trip to be on. Every day to wake up and go, what's going to happen today? It's just amazing. It truly is. It's an eye-opening experience. And if you don't believe me and you don't believe anybody else, I'm telling you, I was a non-believer. Matter of fact, I was not past a non-believer. I was an arguer. And this stuff works beyond my wildest expectations. And it's a life-changing event. It literally saved my life. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that if I didn't find Michael's work, I wouldn't be married to my soulmate, and I probably wouldn't be alive right now. You know, I sure as heck wouldn't be sober, and I wouldn't be in such a happy, joyous state that I'm in right now. It's just an amazing, amazing thing.
Well, we are absolutely delighted that you chose to apply your intelligence because, you know, I have carefully watched you, and, you know, you came in as a skeptic and took me literally when I said, don't believe a word I'm about to say, and tested and tried it, and, you know, applied your original intelligence, the way you present. You know, I've listened to you now a couple of times present it to people, and the way you apply your intelligence and the way you source it is awesome, and I honor it, and I support it, and it's just, you know, it's fabulous. It's just, you know, what can I say except carry forward, and it's just fabulous to hear what's happening with the VA and the opening that there is there. There's a lot of hopelessness in the world today that these tools totally, completely just move that garbage out of the way and let's carry on with human life. It's just so simple when you get down to it, but when the culture has complicated the mind the way that most people's minds have been complicated, it takes some time to work through those layers to get down to the simplicity of it and then applying it. And then, of course, we're each faced with a lifetime of work because ultimately, once you get finished with your own life's traumas, then you start working on the next layer of your genetics and the next layer and deeper. And so, so it's just, I'm delighted you're on the phone today and glad to hear from you. And it's just, once again, as with Terry, I'm on the verge of tears. Just, you know, like, how does life get better than I get to do this for a living? You know, how cool is that? Pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
Pretty
I love
awesome.
you. I
Yeah,
love you
I
too,
accept.
little sister. I am calling from Boca Raton, Florida. My name is Michael Coughlin.
Hey, young man, good to hear your voice.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
It was cool to see your post about the support group the other night, and certainly we hold a space for your friend that passed and for your process as you're going through it and holding the space for that friend.
The group is going incredible. I mean, we got a core group of folks who are coming in now, and we got other satellites that come in sometimes, and you know, we got the folks who want to dip their toe in the pool and then not sure whether or not they want to stay. So we're doing a lot of good stuff. As a matter of fact, we are encompassed the Love Exchange. We have actually this month we worked the long sheet, the 11-step worksheet. That seemed to go over very well. We'll go to, I think next week I'm going to bring in the secondary purpose. I think that might help them a lot. So I'm going to read mine and maybe do the first half of it, first hour, go over some of the ideas of secondary purpose, and then the second half we'll do a worksheet after that. So we've been backing into them. We've been doing them on ourselves. We've been doing them on an emotion. We've been doing them on a goal. It is absolutely incredible to see the understanding. I have a young man. He's in high school. I got to go to high school football games, so that was pretty cool. He was so he's really getting it. And it's just amazing how this stuff can go to any age. Any age can pick this stuff up. So it's been pretty powerful. You know, I did one. Matter of fact, I had. You know, it's funny you were talking about children. You know, my birthday came and went, and neither one of my grown children chose to call me. Megan texted me and said that she couldn't talk to me because it was too painful. But Danielle just ignored it. And in the past, that would have set me into a serious funk for a period of time. And I did a worksheet yesterday with the class, and it was all about the goal, and it was pretty good to get through with that. And by the end of it, the re-goal was something as simple as that, I'll be here with love for them, and they must be in some form of pain themselves in order to feel this way. And it's so amazing to be able to free ourselves of that bondage. The goals that we think elevate us, they actually hold us down most of the time. And so to understand that aspect of being able to free ourselves from the bondages of our own design, our own goals that we make up for ourselves or for other people, and realizing that when our intentions, which is the basis of making our goals, are being pulled out through our fear or hostility filters and not our love filters, then it makes sense that those goals are going to be disintegrative to our being. And to understand that we have to have Rachman Kuber, our love filters, in place in order to get good materials to make good goals. Goals themselves are not bad. Goals are necessary. But to twist those goals and to tweak them sometimes, like we did some tweaking yesterday with some of the goals, and it was really, really incredible to be able to move these things back and forth. I think it's amazing to see it was funny, Margaret and I, my lovely bride, were going to take a break. I thought maybe I'd take a break for the holidays, and we were going to stop class from November to beginning back up in February. And the response and the guidance that we both received after I put it out there was that it probably wasn't a good thing. And then so we mentioned it to the class yesterday, and everybody was supporting. They were like, we didn't know what we were going to do on Wednesdays. It was quite the trip. It really was. So how are you guys doing?
We are rocking along here. Of course, I'm getting to spend time with my daughter and my granddaughter and my son-in-law, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
I would love to, for people who don't have a context to put this conversation in, I would love to just share a paragraph, and then I have a specific thing that I'd ask you to share from an earlier show that you did back a couple of years ago. So I'd like to share the post you created yesterday, and just to give people a context for the kind of shift that happens in people who choose to do what you're doing, to do your work. Mm-hmm. So Michael's post was, feeling sad yet grateful, lost a shipmate to the next voyage beyond. And here's such a powerful piece, Michael, for me, and such one that just fills my heart with gratitude. Life is too precious to live a moment in fear and hostility. Withholding love from others is a waste of our time. I'm grateful for being awake enough to know we need to love while they're here with us. You only have now to love. Blessings. I mean, that's such a huge piece of wisdom to hand the world, Michael, that I'm just filled with gratitude at the opportunity to read it. And my thought was that perhaps, again, to give people who haven't met you on the show previously, Michael's been on the show quite a few times over the last 4 or 5 years, but perhaps to give a context to the kind of shift that takes place, maybe you'd share what your hobby was when you retired and came back from the military, that hobby that you used to have going into certain parts of town. Yeah, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I was a 26-year vet. I had a serious rage issue. When I retired, before I retired, my last few months, I tried to commit suicide. I found myself unconscious with a broken rope around my neck and urine in my pants. I jumped in a bottle. I was drinking up to 3/5 a day. There's a hobby that Michael is talking about is I would go into the bad neighborhoods, the crack neighborhoods at early in the morning, and I would walk around. And I had absolutely no desire to find drugs. I was hoping that somebody with bad intent would jump out and I could relieve the pain within onto that person. I started to do this work with Michael, like he said, 5-6 years ago, and at first I thought he was full of something, and I was very resistant to it. And my bride, thank goodness for her, she really bought into it. So together we started to do this work, and the monumental shifts that have occurred within me are visible to most people. When I say most people, I would say there's people who know me for years and have said they didn't know me. My bride, after years of being together, we're finally at a place where we enjoy each other's company on such an emotional level and on such a deep level that other people can see that. I'm able to handle things now that I could never even begin to handle. I hate it in such a manner. I hated everything. I hated me. I hated the world. I hated God. And it took me a long time to do this work. Michael talks about fear and hostility, and I tried to work. I kept saying I wanted to get rid of my anger. I wanted to get rid of my anger, and I would ask Ruka or God, Holy Spirit, the one mind, to remove my anger. But the truth of it was, I did not want it removed completely. I didn't want to surrender completely. It was okay to remove it around my bride. It was okay to remove it around certain people and certain situations. But I wanted to make sure that I could pull it up for defense. I could pull it up for offense to protect myself, to protect other people when I needed it. And the universe doesn't work that way. If I'm going to surrender myself to the good that is there, then I have to surrender something completely. I have free choice. The universe knows that I have free choice. And if there's a part of me that chooses to hold on for whatever reason, then it's not going to be removed from me. And it was when I realized that holding on to hostility and fear was strangling me, and that I had to be willing to release that completely and allow the powers that be to remove that from me. It would be the only chance that I would have to have true healing. And by doing that, 2 years ago, I went up to Heartland, and it was the first time that I truly discovered an intimate relationship of what love was to me, within me. And that literally, I believe, saved my life, because I had gone up to Heartland. I was on a walker. I had a growth, a nerve tumor that was doing some pretty bad things to me. And I was on incredible amounts of pain medicine. They had me up on methadone at that point in time just so I wouldn't fall down from the pain. I was able to run by the time I left Heartland that summer. I was running up and down the hill. I was swimming across the lake. My bride was almost cried when she picked me up, and I picked up the walker off the conveyor belt with my luggage rather than walking off the plane with it. That's the incredible power that removing fear and hostility from the body, from the energy system, because we forget how much that emotion can physically manifest itself into screaming to be healed, screaming to the universe to heal me. And I ignored it for so long that it almost killed me, cancel the thought. But it allowed me to have such an opening. And now, as I continue on this path, listen, I stumble. I get mad at times. I'm on a what is it, baby? 2 week news blackout. I put myself on a news blackout because it was starting to trigger my anger. It was starting to trigger old thoughts and old feelings. So I just said, okay, listen, for 2-3 weeks, I'm just not, the world can go on without me. A dear friend from Heartland, Susan, 2 years ago told me that my watch was over, that I'm retired now and I need to let other people take over this stuff. I can't save everybody. So that was a really big part of it. So now, things are my life is completely different. Listen, if I was the guy that would jump out of a moving vehicle on the road with my bride in the passenger seat to go beat somebody up while on crutches. And they wouldn't get out of their car because I would have such energy of negativity and fear inside me. Now,
Michael, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry right now with what you're sharing. I mean, just listening to you is just like evokes such emotion, such tears of joy for me, and then when you share that one, it's like, oh my God, Michael.
Yeah, well, you talk about in order to heal, I had to be out of my mind, and when you and it's true. And as a person who did offensive things in the military, you are right. If I go into battle and I am angry, your anger has to be very cold. It can't be overwhelming. If you're cold and calculated, then you can survive. If you're in a blind rage, you're going to be dead. And I know for a fact that when I am triggered into anger and hostility, I am a moron. I can't see the gifts that are before me. My pain goes. I mean, there's so many different things that will happen with fear and hostility. And I know, listen, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I used to pick up my drugs from the VA in a grocery bag. I mean, I was on, hell, I don't know, 10, 12 drugs at one time. And since then, I have worked my way off a great majority of them. I take one for pain, one for sleep, and one for, during the day. But that's it. And even that, I've worked down to bare minimums. Listen, if you're out there and you're looking at this work and you're saying, "Oh, this is some tree hugging BS," listen, as you don't work it, it's tree hugging BS. But if you take it as your own, and like I said, willingness. And matter of fact, in class last night, I wrote willingness across the board. And Michael's thing is all the above. My thing is willingness. How can I make this work? I had one girl last night ask me, how long will it take? And I just broke out laughing because I'm not there yet. I don't think I'll ever be there yet. But that's the journey. That's the journey. I mean, when you realize that something that would literally put you into a spin, when my daughters would not call me on my birthday, I would be depressed until, I don't think I would really come out of this baby until New Year, because then they wouldn't call me on Thanksgiving, and then they wouldn't call me on Christmas, and then they wouldn't call me on New Year. So I would be depressed for all that time. Why? 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 What a shitty way to go through the holidays.
Only one reason. Only one reason.
Exactly.
There's depression in you. When you shovel it out, you're done with it.
Exactly. So now, I mean, I was sad the day afterwards because, one of them said, they'll call me tomorrow. Today was too much. I was a little sad that didn't happen. But you know what? It's them. It's what they're carrying. And I have offered these tools to them. One of my daughters actually came down and sat in one of my classes. Megan came down. She's the one who's going to be a doctor. She sat in one of the classes and was pretty interested in some of the stuff. But I get to live my life on a daily basis in joy and happiness. And I get to see outside my world. Michael talks about, and there's been a recent change in the teaching, about painting the world. And when I'm angry, I'm painting the world in anger. When I'm fearful, I'm painting the world in fear. And, I like this aspect of the teaching because I find it to be true. I used to go to meetings. I'm a part of a 12-step group as well. And I used to go to meetings, and I used to scare people. They wouldn't sit next to me. I didn't have to say anything. They just wouldn't sit next to me. And I'm sharing this month, and I had a guy share that he wouldn't sit next to me. And, like, there are people who can't believe that now, that cannot fathom that I had such an energy that you wouldn't want to sit in the same table with me. I mean, I used to be able to scare people just looking at them. Bad people would walk across the street. They would cross from me. And I thought that was the way to live. Now I can walk through bad people and say hi, and they say hi back, and it's completely different. I'm able to help people. I'm able to see beautiful things at any moment, in any given day, in any given situation. And it's so much fulfilling to live life that way, rather be locked in a prison of my own making. And Michael's work has been extraordinary in this thing. And if you're new and you're on the outskirts, maybe you're dipping your toe in, listen, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that Michael was full of crap. I knew that he was a snake oil salesman, and he was a treat. First time I met Michael, and he said, you're not going to believe this, Michael. I am blessed and highly favored. I thought he was full of crap. Michael, I said the other day that I was blessed and highly favored.
Woo!
I said it.
Woo!
I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that crap
You
came out
actually
of my
said
mouth.
that to somebody?
I did.
I remember the first time I said that to you, and you just curled up and turned your toes the other way.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But I have to say, I am blessed and highly favored. The universe and God is good to me because I see it everywhere. I see the abundance of God everywhere. When I came to Michael, I didn't even like God, never mind believing him. It was like, I hate him. Okay, I don't believe him. I hate God. I don't believe. Man, I am just enthralled with the beauty of everything. And just a small token. I laugh every day when my bride wakes up. I see the smile in her eyes. But the greatest thing is, I don't just see the smile in my bride's eyes. I see my smile reflected back at me to her. That is the greatest gift that this thing has ever given me. To be able to breathe in beauty at any given moment rather than the crap that I was trying to breathe. This is an amazing program. And if you want to live a different life, listen, you can go back to the stuff you're in right now. You can go back to misery. You can go back to anger. You can go back to blaming everybody for how horrible your life is. That will always be there for you. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You want to try something else? Give this a shot. Give it a shot for 30 days. What do you got to lose? Give it a shot for 30 days. If you can't do the 5 worksheets a day, do 3, do 2, do 1. Do it for 30 days. Honestly, with unabandoned willingness to see your nakedness, your truth that you are. And I promise you, you will never, ever go back to the way you were. But if you choose to, I'm promising you this, that crap suit is there in your closet waiting for you to put it back on. And you'll see life the way you see it now. But if you want to give this a shot, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, we guarantee double your misery back if you'd like it. But once you realize it's optional, like, who would do that? Except in a moment of stress, where there's a goal driving perception, and you go in, you forgive, you cancel the goal, and the next layer gets clear, and the next layer, and the next layer. And it's like as reliable as night follows day, you know? The earth is going to turn, and we're going to see daylight, and in, the next 24 hours it's going to turn again, and we're going to see night, and we're going to see daylight. It's just what, night follows day, and if you start looking at the goals that you hold, and with willingness, and a tinge of love in your heart, it's going to dissolve that stuff. It's just like, it's that straightforward and reliable if you're willing to do it. Now, if you're not willing to do it, of course, it won't work in a million years. But conversation doesn't get better than hearing this one, Michael.
I love you, brother. You know that.
Hey, I appreciate and cherish you in my life, and what you're doing in the world is monumental.
Nah. Just a small pebble in the pond, bro. That's all. Small pebble in the pond. But you know what? I got to tell you this one more story. One more. Just to show you how crazy this stuff can be. We've been teaching this off and on for 4 years. And at one point in time, we were literally teaching this out of a Panera. We were in Whole Foods the other day, and there was a couple who we had worked with during that time in Panera. They're engaged now. They weren't sure if. Oh, you know them. She came to young classes too, but they weren't sure if they were going to make their relationship. They're engaged to be married now, and the reason why, Michael, the worksheets. The worksheets saved their relationship, and they came running up to us, and I was like, see, the pebble. I don't know how far that's going to go across the pond, but obviously, it came back to me. It came back to you. It was absolutely incredible.
Well, I hold the space that the pebbles, and as I listen to you, they're moving more from pebbles into small boulders. But I hold the space. I hold the space for when those boulders are thrown into the pond of the wounded warrior and create healed warriors. And healed warriors who have come back and, like you, have finished their term of service, and it's time for them to just be free of it. And sadly, this culture does not even comprehend the burdens it's putting on those young men and women, and certainly has no comprehension of how to help them remove it when they come back. And so I just see those boulders turning into mountains where we can support these people who have such trauma that they've seen, engaged in, from every point of view, and opening the space for them to peel that off as you have. And I can't speak to those people the way you can speak to them. You can say, been there, done that. And I'm just in awe and appreciation for it. There was somebody who showed up at a workshop. This goes back maybe, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they were really into Nostradamus. And they said that there was a quatrain, and I have no idea, I'm not into Nostradamus, never have been, probably never will be, but there was a quatrain in Nostradamus' work that said that the warriors would come to Heartland to heal. And we're up to, at least 5 or 6 significant healings like the one you're talking about, of people who've been through that insanity. And, my heart just wants to open for those who don't know there's resolution possible and give it to them. So I just keep holding the space for that Healed Warrior project to really in earnest begin, and we start dealing with these men and women in mass and their families, their children, their wives, their husbands, their children who, genetically capture that trauma and then experience the environments when they return of that trauma, just expressing unconsciously and without control. And so that's the space I'm holding, is for that Healed Warrior project.
I'll join you with that one, my brother. I will join you with that. Well, give my love to your beautiful bride and enjoy your family. Give them all hugs. I love you.